Have you ever felt like you were meant for something more? Like your current life is just a prelude to something grander? If so, you're not so different from a young orphan boy named Pip, the hero of one of the greatest novels ever written, Charles Dickens. Asterisk. Great Expectations, asterisk. Our story begins in the misty, desolate marshes of Kent, England. Young Pip is visiting the graves of his parents when, out of nowhere, a terrifying figure emerges from the fog. It's an escaped convict, a Bill Magwitch, who frightens Pip into stealing a file and some food for him. Pip, terrified but compassionate, does as he's told. This single act of kindness, born from fear, sets in motion a chain of events that will define his entire life. Little does he know, this encounter is the first crucial thread in a tapestry of fate he can't yet see. Soon after, Pip's life takes another bizarre turn. He's summoned to Satis' house, a decaying mansion frozen in time. Here, he meets the eccentric and wealthy Miss Havisham, a woman eternally dressed in a tattered wedding gown, surrounded by the remnants of a wedding feast that never happened. She was jilted at the altar decades ago, and her heart has been frozen ever since. Her purpose for Pip, he is to be a plaything for her beautiful, adopted daughter, Estella. Miss Havisham has raised Estella to be cold, proud, and incapable of love, training her to break men's hearts as revenge on the entire male gender. Estella treats Pip with disdain, calling him coarse and common. Yet, despite her cruelty, or perhaps because of it, Pip falls deeply and hopelessly in love with her. He becomes ashamed of his humble origins as a blacksmith's apprentice, and yearns to become a gentleman worthy of Estella's affection. Pip's life as an apprentice to his kind-hearted brother-in-law, Joe Gargery, now feels like a prison. He dreams of a different life, a life of wealth and sophistication, and then, one day, the impossible happens. A London lawyer named Mr. Jaggers appears, announcing that Pip has come into a huge fortune, great expectations from an anonymous benefactor. The condition: he must immediately move to London and begin his education as a gentleman. Pip is ecstatic. He's convinced his benefactor must be the wealthy Miss Havisham, grooming him to one day marry Estella. He leaves his simple, loving home behind, perhaps a bit too eagerly, looking down on the very people who raised him. In London, Pip embraces his new life with gusto. He acquires expensive clothes, sophisticated manners, and a new best friend, the charming Herbert Pocket. He runs up debts, lives lavishly, and does everything he can to become the man he thinks Estella wants. He visits Satis' house periodically, and his interactions with Estella are a painful dance of hope and heartache. She continues to warn him that she has no heart to give, yet Pip's infatuation only deepens. He believes that his fortune, his status, and his undying devotion will eventually win her over. He has become a snob, alienated from his roots, and the genuine love of Joe, who represents everything Pip has abandoned in his quest for social elevation. Years pass. Pip is now a young man, fully entrenched in his life as a gentleman. Then, on a dark and stormy night, a visitor arrives at his door. A coarse, weathered man from his past. To Pip's horror, he recognizes him. It is Abel Magwitch, the very convict he helped on the marshes all those years ago. And then comes the shattering revelation. Magwitch, not Miss Havisham, is his secret benefactor. He had been transported to Australia, where he worked tirelessly and amassed a fortune. His sole motivation: to repay the small boy who showed him a moment of kindness. He wanted to make Pip a gentleman from afar, as a way of getting back at the society that had wronged him. Pip's world collapses. His entire identity as a gentleman is a lie, funded not by aristocratic wealth, but by the hard-earned money of a criminal. He is not destined for Estella. He is horrified, repulsed, and deeply ashamed. Everything he built his life upon: his pride, his social standing, his romantic dreams, turns to dust. He now has a dangerous secret to keep, as Magwitch will be hanged if discovered in London. This devastating truth forces Pip to confront the man he has become. He sees the arrogance and ingratitude he showed to Joe and his other childhood friend. He realizes that true worth has nothing to do with money or social class, but everything to do with loyalty, kindness, and integrity. In the midst of this crisis, Pip learns that Estella is to marry his brutish rival, He confronts Miss Havisham, who confesses with remorse that she created a monster in Estella, only to see her own creation turn against her. In a tragic accident, Miss Havisham's wedding dress catches fire, and Pip, in a heroic act, saves her, though she is badly burned. In her final moments, she begs for his forgiveness. Finally understanding the pain she has caused, Pip's focus shifts from himself to Magwitch. He arranges to smuggle the old convict out of the country, but their plan is foiled. Magwitch is captured and sentenced to death. During his trial and final days, Pip's feelings of revulsion transform into genuine affection and loyalty. He sees Magwitch not as a fearsome criminal, but as a devoted, surrogate father figure who sacrificed everything for him. He holds Magwitch's hand as he dies in prison, finally at peace. With Magwitch's death, his fortune is forfeited to the state, and Pip's great expectations are gone. He falls gravely ill, and in his feverish state, who should come to nurse him back to health? None other than the humble, forgiving Joe. This act of unconditional love completes Pip's moral transformation. He returns to his childhood home, humbled and full of remorse, and asks for Joe's forgiveness, which is freely given. The story concludes years later. Pip has worked abroad to pay off his debts and has found a modest, honest life. He returns to the ruins of Sata's house and finds Estella there. Her cruel husband has died, and her own difficult life has taught her empathy. The pride and coldness are gone, replaced by a sad wisdom. She, too, asks for Pip's forgiveness. As they walk out of the ruined garden hand in hand, the future is uncertain, but for the first time, they meet as equals, stripped of their illusions and ready to face the world with humility and a shared understanding of suffering and redemption. Pip has learned that the greatest expectations are not about wealth or status, but about finding humanity, forgiveness, and love in the most unexpected places. Great Expectations, Asterisk, is a timeless masterpiece that reminds us that our true value lies not in what we have, but in who we are. It's a powerful journey of moral growth, and a story that will stay with you long after you've finished it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a literary classic, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories behind the world's greatest books. See you next time.